The video Money Mistakes You Make feat Sandeep Jaitwani is an episode of The Ranveer Show where the guest, Sandeep Jaitwani, talks about financial planning and management. Jaitwani is the founder of Deserve, a modern-day portfolio management service that handles people's money. The video covers a range of topics, from how the wealthiest people in India manage their money to how young people can begin managing their finances early in their careers. One interesting data point mentioned is that the top 1% in India now own one-third of the country's wealth, up from 23% 2 decades ago. The wealthy own assets that earn for them, while those who are not as wealthy are often renting out their time to employers for a salary. The conversation aims to provide financial education and help people take their money seriously. The key takeaway from this conversation is that when it comes to investing, one's risk tolerance is an important factor to consider. It's recommended to first create an emergency fund to cover 6 months of one's lifestyle expenses before investing. For someone with 50,000 rupees a month to invest, it's important to determine the right asset classes and their proportions. Mutual funds are a broad category with equity, debt, hybrid, international, and gold funds among them. A financial expert can help select the right mutual funds, or one can start by figuring out the asset classes and their proportions. For someone saving 5 lakh rupees a month, equity mutual funds can be an appropriate option, whereas for someone saving 1 crore a month, pre-IPO, early stage, and late stage startup investments, as well as global assets, may be more suitable. The speaker is discussing how ultra-wealthy individuals manage their money when they receive a large lump sum of capital. These individuals typically focus on building a structure around their money to manage it properly, and the first step is to get their asset allocation right. This involves deciding how much money to keep aside for various purposes, such as starting a new business or keeping a certain amount available for emergencies. They then invest the remaining money in a core portfolio for the long term, while also allocating some funds to alternative assets that can grow their capital over time. The speaker notes that the age of the wealthy in India is going down, as new entrepreneurs create value for themselves at a younger age. The speaker also emphasizes the importance of finding a great financial advisor who can help build a framework for managing one's money, rather than simply telling them what to do. The conversation seems to be about the importance of financial planning and investment for content creators, specifically influencers on YouTube. The speaker notes that sustaining a career for more than 6 years is a good indication of a content creator's ability to reinvent themselves and financially sustain their career. They discuss the lack of financial advisors in India and how it has impacted Bollywood stars and cricketers in the past. The conversation notes that the YouTube community has helped to educate people about finances, but the advice given may not apply to every individual, as it is important to consider personal circumstances and risk tolerance. The speakers also discuss the difficulty of reinventing oneself as a content creator, as it often involves a period of experimentation that can negatively impact one's audience and financial stability. In this part of the podcast, the conversation shifts to the topic of older influencers and their financial planning. The guest explains that older influencers are focused on creating a strong pool of second income from their money, as they know that their fame can stop at any time. The term older is then rephrased as more mature and is defined as someone who has seen the cycle of a business going up and down. The importance of preparing for the future is emphasized, especially in professions with a potentially shorter lifespan. The host then asks the guest what Adani and Mukesh Ambani do with their own money, and the guest responds that at a certain stage and age, people are more concerned about creating a legacy and making a meaningful impact. The concept of self-actualization and leaving a lasting legacy is discussed, and the host shares his recent conversation with Sadhguru about legacy being a driving force for some people. The guest shares his own dream of creating places that help orphans, old people, and stray animals, and emphasizes the importance of making philanthropy or charity self-sustaining. In this podcast episode, the host has a conversation with Sandeep Jaitwani about money and investing. Sandeep shares his thoughts on creating new sources of income and assets, and the importance of entrepreneurship and thought leadership in driving change in India. He also talks about the reflection of society in mainstream sports and fictional movies, and his belief that India is in a good place economically. The host invites listeners to share their financial guest recommendations and to spread the word about the podcast.